How hard could it be?
We definitely can do this. How hard could it be?
Hey, how hard could it be?
How hard could it really be? How are things? How you been?
I've been all right, man. How you been?
Not sleeping. We got a teething baby and a sick dog, so we've been like 5-6 times a night waking up the past week. But last night was a little better, so I'm starting to move out of zombie mode. Finally feels like.
Yeah, that's
I'm sure you've
that.
been there.
Yeah, we've been there. That's been our whole life for 4 years. Luckily, at least luckily for me, my wife has taken on like most of that responsibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's torture, dude.
Yeah, it makes everything the highs or the lows. It just makes them like kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
When you're just not rested. But
no, I know it's crazy.
we're moving. We got to be getting close. It was much better last night, so hopefully that's on its way out.
Yeah, hopefully. How
Yeah.
old now?
6 months and 2 years next week. She'll be 2.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy. 2 under 2 is nuts. We had 3 under 3 for a little bit. And it
Ooh,
was too much. There were 6 to 8 months there where it was just like it shouldn't be this hard. It's just like
yeah.
you can barely get through a day, but it does
But
get better.
then, yeah, I bet your daughter's helpful now for the younger ones, isn't she?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Not she's like just turned 4, so she like really can't like watch them, and she's just as crazy as them. So like not as much as we'd like, but she's good. Like we don't really have to watch her. She's like, you know, she's on her own most of the day so that we can take care of the babies. But even they're
Wait,
getting big, man.
wait till the boys are a little older and get to like full crazy and autonomy running around. That's when it'll get tough.
We get a little bit of it, dude. We've got a little bit of it now where he just like at the end of the day, I like need to like wrestle him like into exhaustion. Just like he needs it. Like, like he's just a boy and just needs to like fucking fight for a little bit before bed. It's wild, dude.
They
And
say that kids that get wrestled by their parents are like like they learn at a young age how to like get it out and manage and they're
yeah,
better off in life.
they do. They all take their turns wrestling. So hopefully that's true. He split his head open last week. That was our first stitches.
Yeah, what was that about? You told me about that.
He just like stumbled and like ran directly into the like edge of a cabinet, like in our
Mm.
kitchen, like where the cabinet kind of comes to a
Yeah, the
point.
corner.
And he like barely hit it, but it's like right here where you got no meat, and it just
Yeah.
split it right open. 5 stitches.
Mm. And a kid has thinner skin. I learned yesterday their skin is actually less thick than yours or mine. So
Yeah. No, it was not a big fall. He's taken worse falls than that, but like it just split there. Yeah. So
mm.
that was fun.
Yeah. And you guys put out a drop last week or was it the week before?
Yep. Last Friday we put out our uniform collection, which went really well. The chambray shirts and the denim, the selvage denim, which
Those
took
are
us.
moving.
Yeah, it was like that collection was like where I learned how to make clothes. So like it took fucking forever, and I think I'm wearing the 7th sample, which was
Hmm.
approved for fit with minor construction detail changes. And then the 8th sample, there was something wrong with like, dude, it's so crazy. Like you learn all the patterning, which is like incredibly difficult. You could work for 20 years and still be learning about, how to make patterns and all that. I like did a crash course for 6 months learning how to pattern digitally so that we can work more efficiently, so I can just have every garment patterned digitally and then graded digitally so that we can print patterns and markers and like make adjustments real easy and have like reference blocks and all that. And like the fit, like I'd get it to fit right for like a 36 for me. And then we'd grade one down and print one for 32. And like no matter what I did, it wasn't fitting right. Like the 32s like were crazy tight in the hip. And we were like, I'm like, I had like a bad morning one morning where I knew I made the right corrections and I knew I made the right edits to this pattern. And I was positive it was going to be perfect. And it fit like shit again. We like tried it on Charlie and it just fit like shit. And I like wanted to like jump off the roof. And
What was it? Did you find it?
we, yeah, we found it. It was like the high hip area where you right, because like selvage denim, like the outseam needs to be dead straight. And like obviously
And
like
you
your
curve it
hip,
in at the.
yeah, you curve it in on the top. And that's where you surge. Like that's where you overlock like all the pocketing and the front and back panels together before you close it with the waistband. And it took us like 3 months of developing to realize like it looked correct the way that the sewer was doing it, who has like lots of experience in sewing denim together. But instead of overlocking all the pieces together, he was overlocking the front together, overlocking the back together, and then straight stitching the outseam.
And not being consistent on that.
Yeah. And like basically going a half inch further. So where I'm allowing for a 3/8 seam allowance, he was taking 3/8 seam allowance with the overlock and then another
Uh,
like almost half inch seam
uh,
allowance for a straight stitch to go, from top to bottom. So it was like literally pinching off all the way around like an inch and a half to 2 inches, which is like absurd. So
and
which
was
is
that
why
not
it
the
was
same
fitting.
person that was doing the 36s
No, it was, but I was like adjusting the pattern. I
for?
was like,
I
okay,
gotcha.
I'll just bump out the hip even further on the last sample we made, and then that would fit. And then, but then like as it grades down, it just gets so compressed. But yeah, so we were like, okay, stitch rip that out, and just instead of overlocking twice, just overlock it all together with a security stitch. Like on the you got
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
multi
know what you're
needle
talking about.
overlock. Yeah, and like immediately it fit great, and we are like, Jesus Christ, dude, like months.
Pants are tricky with like grading because I mean, we went through it a million times with when we first started building our blocks and sweatpants because it's I didn't realize that a lot of times the inseams don't change. Like you're literally only changing the rise seam, or if the inseam does change, it's like slightly, a quarter of an inch. It's not intuitive because you think of like a big, tall person's gonna have need a longer inseam, but that's not how pants are made, which was a shock to me.
And like I'm 6 foot, Charlie's like 5'11" and a half. It all like evens out where like I'm a little taller than him, but his legs are a little longer than mine. Like
Mm-hmm.
and but even then, like we're 6 foot basically, and we wear like 28 inseam. you know? So like a person who's literally like 6'4" can still wear a 32 inseam.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's like much less variation on the inseam than you would think. The other thing that was
Well,
kind of messing with me on the selvage was, I believe, and I still could be wrong about this because I learn new shit every day, but like most of the time you grade the outseam and the waist, like to go
mm-hmm.
out and up. Like the rise gets a little bit bigger and they get a little bit wider, but in the outseam.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously with selvage, it makes it more difficult because like you have
You
to
have to
keep
go the
that
opposite
outseam
way.
stable. So yeah, you have to grade the inseam to to get more width. Um, which I didn't know on the first like 3 or 4 samples. So when we were grading
Hmm.
back and forth, like nothing was fitting the same. So yeah, like
Yeah,
but
selvage
then
is a
but then
whole
you
nother animal. I know.
yeah, it is. But then like it was crazy because like I had made so many mistakes making the pattern and grading that I just thought, oh, if there's a problem here, it's because I'm patterning wrong. But then it turned out like no, there's so many steps along the way. Like There's the patterning, there's the grading, there's the cutting. So like if your cutter is just like, no, today I'm just not gonna make that turn today exactly right, you know, that can change the fit of the pant. But then there's also the operator who's sewing these things together. So like to know which part of the process is leading to a fit error is like you really need to know like the entire process and like to have even a chance of getting the thing to fit right.
And a lot of times it's not one step either. Like we figured that out. We're having a problem this week with pocket tees. As soon they're all coming out like that. And at first we're like, oh well, that was just sewn on incorrectly. Well, no, we're looking at it, it's sewn on properly. Well, why is that happening? Well, it's actually shrinking. When it washes, it's getting skewed. Well, it was cut off grain. Okay, let's look at the cut. Well, then we look at that and we're taking perfect attention to make sure every ply is on grain, and it's still happening. What we found out, the fabric was coming to us and it wasn't stable from the mill. And so it was torquing 10%. And so that no matter what you did, it was going to twist in the wash. And like you said, how do you can drive yourself crazy looking at 10 different spots, and realistically it's probably a little bit of fabric torquing, a little bit of cutting off grain, a little bit of
Right.
sewing, and by the time the finished product is there, that's what does it. But like it could be any
Yeah.
one of those things at any given time, and you have to watch every single spot.
And they all build on they all build on each other and just get more exaggerated at
Mm-hmm.
every touch point. Yeah,
Yeah, it's mind numbing.
it is. And it's like very infuriating, like especially like when we're kind of learning on the fly and like it's not like we can take a 6-month break and dial every little thing in perfectly. Like we're kind of learning on the fly and we're even like, not pre-ordering, but like we get the samples right and then we go into production and then we release it, halfway into production and then we're finishing production. It's like kind of, just to be able to operate the business and like keep the cash coming in so that we could get everybody paid. It's like you need to work quickly. But also, I go back and like every year I go back and I watch this documentary about South Park called 6 Days to Air. Have you ever seen it?
I've not, but I
No.
know of it.
Yeah, where it's like they followed them around like they were like just getting off of like the first season of the Book of Mormon, like when they won all these what are those Tonys or whatever. And they were like the hottest thing on Broadway. And they were just coming off of that and going into their next season of South Park. And they followed them around for a week because it was like right around the time where they started turning around episodes every week. And and one of the guys like in the room, and they're like a big inspiration for me, like bringing stuff in house. Cause it was like, they do everything in house, like they have all their, their the character designers and their background designers and they do all the voices in house and they do like all their storyboarding in house and it allows them to be very like nimble and like obviously get shit done in like 6 days. But the guy, like one of their animators, was talking, and he was like, "Yeah, it's a unique situation because not only do you have to be good, but you have to be fast and good."
Yeah.
Which is like, how could you possibly be fast and good? But like, you
And
kind
be
of
a
have,
guy that the other guys want to work with. That's
yeah,
there's a lot
right.
of fast and good people, but I don't know if they're the right
But
culture
they're
fit and the
impossible.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're miserable.
Hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, luckily that has not been an issue. We love like everybody in the building right now. We is like great. Love working with all of them. That's been we had one guy come in. We were like trying to hire another sewer or two. And then we had one guy come in and he had a good experience and he like knew the industrial machines. And like 2 or 3 days in, he was like doing an operation just like not how we do that operation. And one of the women who are just like the sweetest women in the world came over and was like, no, like we actually don't do it like that. We do it like this. And he got crazy defensive and like started like finger pointing and like he was just like got nasty,
Yeah.
like kind of turned on a dime and Leo, our floor manager, who's the sweetest woman in the world, was just like, okay, you got to go. You got to go. We're not. this
How'd
is a
that
not
go
this
over?
it just he was just
He
like
just walked out and done.
he just like flipped his hand up and was just like just really mad and just stormed out, and we just didn't, thankfully didn't hear from him
That was
again.
that.
But yeah, me
Hmm.
and Leo told me, I wasn't in the room for it, and I was like, good work. Like, it's very important for us to have a kind work environment, because I've never had a kind work environment, and I never understood why. Like, somebody always feels the need to come along and be like, oh no, I like, almost like, people like glorify like Steve Jobs a lot, and I like
Yeah.
blame him often for like romanticizing being a miserable cuss, and like making everybody around you miserable because you think you're just like this creative genius, and you can be that and be kind,
Kind. Yeah.
you know?
It's a hard balance. So, like I find I think we have a very cushy workplace. Like people can be on their phone if people need to, not excessively, but like I don't care. You're adults. I don't want to hold your hand and tell you what to do every second of the day. And we've had people here that managed and thought that that was the way to manage, is micromanaging and like track your bathroom times and track this. Like I don't want any of that.
No,
Like I don't need to know. I don't care. And but also on the flip side, it's easy to, if that's the norm, sometimes you got to be harder. And like I struggle with that balance because I think I naturally am an empathetic person, but
yeah,
not, you have to react differently for different situations, and that's like the skill or the art of it, I guess, that is not, it's not black and
totally.
white.
No, it's not. Uh, we're lucky because I'm more like you, and Charlie is not. He's not a like a He's not an abrasive person at all. But like, having worked in
Yeah,
high
where
level
he's worked.
fashion, yeah, Abercrombie, fucking Amay, wherever. Um, he just like he needs shit done on a certain pace, and so he is kind like, we've got like a good cop bad cop thing going on. That's actually pretty nice. Like, Charlie will set a due date that's like maybe 10% faster than they're comfortable with, just to like keep them, just to keep everybody honest and like run
Yeah.
the operation, like
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
like get through the operations. Um, but then, you know, then we'll get to the end and maybe they don't hit the date. They'll go one day longer, but then they'll get it done. And then I'll come in and I'll like be like, great job, guys. And I'll give a bonus out. So like they love me, and like Charlie, like they
He has
kind
to
of,
be the bad guy.
yeah, he's a little bit of the bad guy, but also like that they get it. Everybody understands. But like, we just, even, me and Charlie are on our phones sometimes. Like, we have lives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never understood, I obviously worked, some pretty shitty jobs in my life. Is like, let people be adults. If they're on their phone all the time and just like not wanting to get the work done or get it done well, you hired someone poorly. Like, uh, go find a whatever,
Yeah, like and early on, I would just hire anyone I could because that's all, I just needed to get somebody in here to
Yeah.
help. But yeah, nowadays, like if you can be a little selective, just set clear expectations, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
Right.
I really I like live by the saying or the mantra of like, do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. If you're going to tell me that it's going to take 10 minutes and there's 100 of them, it should take, what is that, 1,000 minutes.
Right.
And if it doesn't, like I better know right away, and we'll work, like I'm come alongside you and we'll figure out what happened and how to get it back on track. But like
Yeah.
I used to just, not everybody's like that, and a lot of
No.
times it'll take 1,200 minutes, and then nope, well I didn't know, I didn't, whatever,
Yeah.
like just be honest about it and upfront and do what you say you're going to do, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. And like, almost like, temper expectations. Like, that's something that we worked on, or, early on in the process, because some of the sewers speak Spanish and some of the sewers speak Portuguese, and some of the
Uh,
servers speak English. And then I'm learning. I'm like, me and Charlie are in the process of learning Spanish, but they'd be like going through operations, like they'd be sewing through like a production run. And like normally the energy's up here and the volumes of the voices are like up here. And then the energy would kind of like get low and I'd hear Spanish being spoken like kind of
more and
lower like
more.
this. And I'd be like, oh, something's up. Something's wrong. There's an issue. And I would go over, I'd be like, is everything okay? And then they would tell me like, oh, well, this happened and that happened. We need to go back and redo this. And I'd be like, guys, perfectly fine. Like when
Stuff
there's an
happens,
issue,
yeah.
you don't need to hide, nobody needs to hide anything. Like it's almost better. Like if there's a problem, bring it to me and Charlie, like right away. Cause we like, that's like half our job is just like problem solving,
Yeah.
being creative problem solvers.
Yeah, and there's always like I with clients or vendors, I appreciate the approach of, hey, this happened, but here's the solve. Don't come to me
Yeah.
with just a problem. Like I want your opinion because you know it better than I do most of the time. So come to me and say, this is what happened. Here's why. Here's how it's not going to happen again. And here's what we're going to do to get it back on track. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't think like that, and I wish that more did.
Yeah. I remember like when I was working in the marketing department at a grocery store. It like I learned that on my own to where like, yeah, you don't bring your boss a problem, you bring them a solution. It's real easy to just because that's almost passing the buck like upward. It's like there's
Hmm.
a problem, you have a
Here you
task,
go. Have
there's a
fun.
problem, and then you go to your boss and you say, no, you solve this. It's like a weird, and like people are so quick to do that because like it takes the responsibility off them and puts it on their book. But like I always, you know, I always treat it as though if this was really your company, if you were really, really invested into this, you'd figure it out. You wouldn't need to go to somebody else. Like you
Hmm.
could Google something, you could do your best version of what you think they want. And it sucks a little bit because like, all right, I did my version of what I think the solution is. I know my boss is not going to 100% agree. They're going to make me go back and redo a bunch of this, but at least they're not going to be pissed off that like you did nothing. You
Hmm.
didn't even try. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, that problem solving thing, it is very helpful. And it's nice to have people around who do the same shit.
And I like what you said about putting it back on that person. If your job depended on it, your life depended on it, your family's health, like whatever, you were capable of figuring it out. And I think
Totally.
that is our role, is to empower that. And
Right.
you could always flip it back on yourself. Like as a leader, why didn't that person take the next step or try to figure it out? Like maybe that's on you to set up the system that they feel comfortable trying to figure that out. And
Yeah.
it's
And
a balance.
it is a balance because you also don't want them like going off and like, you know, running like like Leo will like there will be like two ways of finishing a scene or something. And she'll be and instead of coming and ask me, she'll like bring me two options. She'll be like, which one of these do you like better? Like I finished this one like that, I finished this one like this. Like that's really nice to be able to see options. And like obviously you don't want them to just say like run all of them on their own. But yeah, so it's a balance. But it's nice
But
to
yeah,
have
setting
people
up the
who
structure that if the decision is this, you can run with it. If the decision is here, come run with two options and we'll pick together. And like you can build processes around all of that. And that's not my skill set. I'm not good at that at all. I don't like that.
yeah.
But we have people here that are really good at processes and like trying to be intentional about that, and just like a decision tree of how you want it structured, and so that anyone can plug in there and know what to do or when to make a decision versus not. And that's somebody described it to me once as like a big mousetrap of like how to make the whole thing work. If you set it up right, it should all just like flow and work
Yeah.
without having to be at. And again, I'm guilty. I'm not good at this. I'm guilty of like being at the middle of too many decisions that I don't need to be. But
Yeah.
it's a process of letting go.
Yeah. We're that's kind of like putting in the processes is like I enjoy reinventing the wheel and like putting in processes that are like,
Every time.
yeah, I do. Because then I feel like, it's really the last like week or two, I guess, since we spoke last, like, so like some days you come in and like you want to attack one problem, but it's just like not ready to be solved. Like you're just not at the right point to do it. So like you have to work on something else that day. And like there's 3 or 4 things that I need to focus on in a day. It's like, yes, there's production going on over here, but there's this sample going here. And then there's planning this next line over here. And then there's like even just a simple, like I need to design a new label. I need to design a new graphic. Like I need to start putting together inspiration for a collection 6 months from now. Like there's always something for me to do. So like if I have to sit here and wait for a sewer to put together a sample, I can't just like sit here and do this. Like I have to go pick another thing to do. But it's been really nice like the last couple of weeks and this has been working really smoothly and and that's like, that used to be a stressful thing for me. Cause like, I just want to fucking focus on this one thing. And I feel like I'm wasting time if I go design a graphic. But recently it's been really helpful for me to just say, okay, I'm just going to go into the factory today and I'm just going to learn something. Like that has become like my only job is just going in and learning. And it's taken a lot of pressure off of me. Like, cause you want to juggle 10 things, but it's inefficient. And I feel like, to just focus on something and just, I just come in every day and I say, I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to learn how to grade these pants today. And I'll just sit there for hours and make sure that the grading is perfect. Or I'm going to learn how to, print, all these markers. It has been very helpful, but like for the processes in the last 3 months, that's been like what has held us back. And I feel like we could have continued on going the way we were, where like Leo was making paper patterns and it's very time consuming. And then like, if you need to sample and make an alteration, that's like, it takes even longer. And like, we kind of like stomped on the brakes and said, okay. And that's where like it came in like me learning something. It's like, I'm not going to make Leo relearn her whole life and learn to digitally pattern or to digitize things with this program. Like she's not a computer person. I'm not like, that would be absurd. I'm going to learn it. She's going to be there to help me. And like everything came to a screeching halt for like at least a month where like we didn't get anything done essentially. But
Because of
it was
the
like taking a step backward to take like 3 or 4 steps forward. Cause like now I know, like, again, I just learned every day. I learned so much. And
hmm,
now we're in this like really nice spot where 2 or 3 people will be sewing a production run. And then we have one guy, Henry, who is basically like sampling, like when we have something to sample, he'll like kind of step out of the production line, sample something. But like, I know enough now to where I can print so like now I'm doing patterns. We're actually like starting to roll in a way that's like really,
it's
really nice.
compounding rather than just like, yeah.
Right. And yeah, putting that process like in there has been like truly like there were days where I was like, oh, I think we made a mistake. I think we might need to like reconsider doing this at all. It was like the most
Like
difficult thing.
building the factory and making your own
Yeah.
stuff. Is that you're saying this as in everything?
As in the whole thing, like we made a big mistake. This is impossibly difficult. And then like, but then you like fight through it. You learn something every day. And now like 2 weeks later, we like have a nice little thing going. And I'm like, oh, that was really, it's been 6 months. It hasn't been 2 weeks. It's been 6 months of learning. And like, now I'm kind of seeing like where it could go. It was like this, we've got something going here. Like something, I'm like optimistic again. It's like, it's nice, dude.
Cool. Yeah. It's not linear, at least in my experience.
No.
I think it was through to September 25th was my 8-year anniversary of quitting Abercrombie. I've been at it 8 years full time, and at the beginning, you're just going so fast and growing and learning so much, and you think like, all right, eventually it's going to level out and it's just going to be like smooth, steady growth, and it's just not. It never is, and there's always like setbacks from even years ago that you forgot about, that you thought you were over, that will come back up, and like
Yes.
it never quits.
Yeah, I've gotten better at like even with this production run of jeans, it was like we figured out that problem and then I reprinted the sample and then we made a sample and it was great. It was perfect. And we put it into production and I was like, right out of the gate, I was like, okay, good, we got it. Done. It's gonna run smoothly.
Nope.
And then I like took a step back, like immediately, like in my brain, I switched. I was like, wait, that's a bad idea. You should not be that optimistic. Like you should be ready for some terrible thing to happen while producing these like whatever 40 pairs of jeans. Something's gonna go wrong. Like now I have that kind of in my head where it's like I you know I because when you make things in factories overseas, you're so disconnected from that process. Where it's like when you approve a sample, the next time you see it is when everything is done and everything's good. But like I bet you in that factory they had to overcome like 3 or 4 major issues to get through that
Yeah.
production run. It's like
Because
now,
they have that person there that like you, that's what people don't realize, is like those factories are overseas that are good and have done it, like they have that person that is like so on top of it and making sure it gets perfectly delivered as expected. But if you're that person, you
right?
have to always be on it and always watching that. And yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things that I think we have a benefit of, which is really cool, is that we are making a product that we can actually use. Like we're not making some tech thing that we're building
right.
it and then all of a sudden you know you can't use it until after it's got whatever. Like as we're making it, I'm always encouraging my team, every new size, like try it on. Does it
Yeah,
fit like a small should fit? Does the large fit like a large should fit? And it's so easy to just like go and get them done. Well, you
right,
could have just done 100 of them wrong because we're not looking at it. If you try it on and you notice quick, like, oh, that's not right. You know, you can catch like 90% of the issues because we're able to do it as we go.
right. It's kind of difficult to do that just because like you have this like idea of what an efficient factory does. Like in a perfect
Yeah.
world, we would be printing all of our markers for every size, cutting everything at once, and then keeping things in bundles and like doing every single like pocket assembly for the front of these jeans through all the sizes at the same time. And everything would run faster and smoother and that would be great. But also we're terrified that like something like that is going to happen where something is wrong along the line and it compounds on itself and while our 32s are great, our 38s are awful. Like and we're
Hmm.
terrified of that. So we have been like backing up and saying, no, let's just slowly run each size by itself. We're going
Hmm.
to cut and sew the 32s. We're going to check them. Then we're going to cut and sew the 34s. Then we're going to check them. And like, I do have like, the optimistic, the ideal, possible future in my head to where like, okay, this block we have down, we've done it 10 times. We know all the operations. We know the sizing and the grading is perfect. Just do it all at the same time. Like I can imagine how awesome that might be. And it would like, potentially even like drastically improve your, how much money you can make on a product. But like we're just not there yet. So it's tough, but we have been like going
So
pretty slow, pretty steady.
in our world, we do cut everything generally at once because
Yeah.
we've made the same product for long enough to trust it.
Yeah,
We
that's the
always do
goal.
make a shrink test and a TOP beforehand, so we do like a small and a large or a medium and XL, and we make sure that we got the shrinkage right. But you really, sometimes there are things that happen in the first one that could have impacted 2, 3, and 4 markers if you just had waited.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that would be so devastating to like, do a run and have a good portion of it be wrong that we're just like, it'd be, it's less of a risk to just slow down and do it like size by size currently.
Yeah.
At least because I'm still like in the process of digitizing and or building new patterns. We're lucky or not lucky, but like it's kind of our like my design philosophy that like I don't want to have an incredibly wide assortment of products. Like I just want to have our core items and like
Uh-huh.
just be constantly maybe adding a new item every 6 months. Like even
Yeah.
that like sounds kind of ridiculous to me. Like
When it makes sense, yeah. I'm
right,
in the
just like
same world as that.
but like a year ago, 2 years ago, when we're making things overseas, and again, you just get so disconnected from the process. It's like you look at a collection, kind of like these up here, these line sheets, and like you see gaps, and like and I'm thinking like, okay, well, we need to shoot a lookbook. We only have one pant in two colors. We need another pant so that we could style 4 independent looks for this lookbook. But then it's kind of just you're like tacking on some afterthought product, or like
Just
maybe you're like
cause, yeah.
just cause that's what the other big brands do. And you're like, you know, we need to do that too. But, and like every single time those tack on products would never do as well as the rest of the line. Cause it's just like, you didn't actually need it. You did it, you know, for a lookbook, or you did it to like, get like maybe there were too many solids in an assortment and like you didn't have a plaid or a pattern or something. So you like, but like, we don't do that anymore. That's not how we really design collections anymore. Now it's just like subtract, subtract, subtract. Like what can we do without? Like if we can do without it, get the fuck rid of it. Like we're just,
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of breaking it down to like 4 or 5 pieces per style, almost, or per collection, because the the development process is so time consuming.
Vast.
Yeah. And it's just like we've been doing this where we're like kind of like trimming off styles that were like, and it always does come back to like me and Charlie's like, would I wear this? Like
Yeah.
am I actually going to wear this, or is that just like these 4 brands who were like in the same market as made their version of this, so now we have to make our version? And like we've like stopped thinking like that, and now we're just like with the uniform collection, it's like, what do you want to wear this fall? I want to wear a pair of jeans, I want to wear a Shetland sweater, and I want to wear a chambray shirt. Like, okay, then that's all we're making.
Mm.
And like
The-
yeah,
I,
we're
I,
loving this
the
philosophy.
direction, yeah. I like to hear
Yeah.
you say that because that's where I'm at too. Of like, I don't want to get into wovens. I want to just make knits because I think that a good hoodie, and we can change the fabric. A good hoodie, a crew neck, a few different tees. We're adding some cotton sweaters. Like, that's all you need. But we're trained by the market as like
Yeah.
it's all about volume of styles and newness, and like I don't think that people actually, the person that I want to connect with doesn't actually shop like that. They are more
No.
intentional, they care. And I think more of the
Yes.
market is starting to move that way. But also on the flip side, it's kind of scary for me to think like if I want to keep growing this, like maybe it's going to get boring, or how are we going to keep it new? And it's cool to hear you
Right.
say that you guys are in the same place of like there is a business there, I believe.
Oh, they're 100% is a business there. Even a lot of these brands that like, have a really wide offering, is like they actually make 70-80% of their money on a very narrow band of styles. They're almost trying to just like, which is really shitty, because like they're just trying to build a little world to shoot this lookbook in, to get across this lifestyle in their
That doesn't
branding
actually exist.
that doesn't actually exist, but then also at the expense of creating a product that does not need to be made. That is like literally just like
Yeah.
a burden on the world and the
Yeah.
environment. Is like it literally is going to go to New Jersey and get burned at the end of the season. When it doesn't,
Mm.
it's not going to sell great through the season. It's not going to sell great in the sales. They just needed to they needed to check a box on a line plan that some, basically finance guy, like, like a numbers guy came up with. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to end up being burned in a facility in New Jersey, not even donated. It'll just straight up be burned. And like,
Yeah.
we're going the opposite direction. We are totally going in the opposite direction, to where it's like, dude, Charlie would love nothing more than to literally make 4 things. It's like,
Yeah.
he's like, we should make jeans, 3-pack t-shirts, and like, a flannel, and like, that's it. Like, that's all
He's
like,
good.
let's
Yeah.
just, let's just make them the best. And like, that's what people come to us for. And let's sell, 1,000 a year. And like, we're good. I was
And
like, yeah, that would be sick.
that's how businesses used to be, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like they did their one thing and they got good at it, and like they were known for the best hoodie, and that's what people,
Right.
um so yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like
cool to
Levi's.
hear that. You talk about like filling a lookbook. So within knitwear, I think people like the styles that we make, people I think live in that. It's like the daily t-shirt, the hoodie, the crew neck, but also you do need, like I'm wearing my Man
Yeah.
Raiser jeans, and I want to still, you can still, I think the move around that is to build a lifestyle with brands that you align with. And
Yeah.
like, we're going to do a photo shoot with these. I got some shoes on from my buddies that run a shoe company, and like, let's
Right.
just partner with people that share the same, that are, like-minded, and like, you guys make different products than we do. Let's fill our lookbook with your thing and that shoe company that makes their thing, and like the best of that each world. And there you go. Everybody
Yeah.
wins. There's no burning in New Jersey.